Abraham from Ur of Chaldea. Abraham was a Hebrew from the lineage of Shem. Shem, one of his grandson, named Eber, commonly known today as the Ebos, Hebrews. Um, he come from that lineage. His father was Terah. Um, the Most High called him out of his father's house to a land where he promised for him. And he's called a father of many nations. Okay. Um, Abram was father of nations. And then when he changed his name to Abraham, which meaning father of many nations. Um, the Most High blessed him and caused his seed, every one of his seed, to be blessed. He made a covenant with him in Genesis 17, according to every male born on the eighth, born on the eighth day, they should be circumcised, and that's his covenant that he gave towards Abraham, right? Abraham moved with faith. He's called the father of faith, as he was called to come out of his father's house to a land which Yah promised him. He just moved. He didn't know where he was going, but he was just following the voice of the Most High. All right. Chaldea today is commonly known as a southern part of Iraq, that region of Syria or Turkey. Definitely it's a hot region way back then in ancient times. Definitely as a Hebrew himself, he was definitely a melanated man. Him and his wife, as they were journeying to the land as he promised them, they passed through going to Egypt. There was a time where there was famine in the land, and they journeyed to Egypt, and as they were there, one of the Egyptian pharaohs, invited them to come to this place, and he was attracted to Abraham's wife. And first, prior to that, Abraham says, told his wife as they were journeying, to go settle due to so much famine in their land that they were. He told his wife that if anything happens, just let them know that he's Sarah's his sister, so that way he doesn't get in trouble. Told her to lie on his behalf. And so when they went to Egypt, and Pharaoh wanted to have Sarah as his wife, and the Most High warned him in the dream not to touch her, and it caused a plague that come upon his house, and revealed to him that Sarah was his wife. At one point he saw Abraham actually, physically, talking and related to his wife, and he called him, say, why you want to put trouble, right? So he had to get out of Egypt, and then he was going to the land as the Most High promised him. That area, the region, today we call Israel, in Canaan, right? So Abraham, he passed through the river Euphrates, the great river Euphrates, one of the four rivers that passed through the Garden of Eden, that's mentioned in Genesis. This is in Genesis 2. So Abraham, he was the father of many nations. And then he went through, according to the book of Jasher, went through different trials of his faith, as he was leaving his father's house too. Prior to that, because his father worshiped many idols. And he would get rid of his father's idols to a point where his father asked him, what happened to his idols, because he destroyed them. And he told him, why is his father, worshiping gods they're not living, they're not alive. This is in the book of Jasher, right? That's mentioned, the book of Jasher is mentioned in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, as well as 2 Samuel 1:18, right? So his father Terah told Nimrod, who was leading the nations, he was like the tyrant at that time, the first tyrant king, and he called Abraham and his brother at the time, and tossed him to a burning furnace, right? And Abraham, because of his faith in the Father and the Creator, he would not get burned, right? So he was protected, okay, because of his faith. Because of his faith, right? So he was definitely protected. So also this is Sarai. The Most High changed her name to Sarah, similar to how the Most High changed Abram's name to Abraham. He was father of nations, Abram. And he changed his name to father of many nations, right? Same thing with Sarai. He changed her name to Sarah from Sarai, mother of many nations. Okay, so she was barren. She couldn't give birth. And Most High gave a promise that she was, in her old age, and she was going to give, birth to a son. She had a moment of doubt, and the both, Abraham also himself too, right? So eventually, the Most High showed himself with his promise that he gave birth to a son, Isaac, in their latter years. They were way, way older, okay? But this his wife, Sarah, she was definitely on his side. She was definitely what we call a virtuous woman. Proverbs 31. Very wise. Very wise, full of wisdom, and so much to learn, and very humble, from Sarah. So yes, Sarah journeyed with him everywhere he went, and she was also very beautiful, beautiful physically as well as beautiful internally, spiritually, and her mind as well, very wise. So and it's definitely a representation, an example for many women as well. So this is Sarah. It was Abraham and his brother Haran that were tossed into the burning furnace, because his father Terah told on him. Terah was right-hand man to the tyrant, the first tyrant king, Nimrod. And he told on his son because, Abraham destroyed the idols that he was worshiping. And so Nimrod commanded his soldiers to take Abraham and his brother Haran. Abraham has strong faith in the Most High, and the Most High protected him. However, Haran had a lot of doubts, fears, and he ended up dying. It's similar to the story of the 3 Hebrew boys in Daniel, right? Daniel chapter 2, where Nebuchadnezzar wanted all the people in Babylon to worship him, bow down as they played the music, and the 3 Hebrew boys refused to bow down, right, to the idol. And so they took them and they were pressing them to bow down, and they refused. This was Hananiah, Micaiah, and Azariah, commonly known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? As they refused, so they decided to toss them into a burning furnace, and they were protected by the Most High, commonly known as the 4th man, and it was Yeshua, Jesus Christ, appearing in the flesh, protecting them. Okay, and Nebuchadnezzar saw the Most High, the Son of Man, and he actually said it. He said, "Who is that? He looks like the Son of Man, right?" And he called him to come out, and he realized it's a miracle from the Most High, and he calls all the nation of Babylon to worship the true living Elohim. It's similar to what Abraham did way back then, before that situation with the 3 Hebrew boys. He showed an example of his faith, and we could all learn from him. And he refused to worship idols himself. Abraham, he constantly followed the Most High's voice, left his father's land, his house of many idols, to go to a land which the Most High promised him, and he was going to make his name great and make him a father of many nations. So this is a story of Abraham. He's also mentioned in Hebrews 11 as one of the patriarchs of faith. He's known as the man of faith, the father of faith. So through him, many nations are blessed. Okay, and the nations are blessed that come through him. So thank you all for listening. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and also comment. All right, thank you. All right, shalom, shalom. Bless y'all.